No, Cindy?
Cindy, you'll be the
Ready?
reporter. But what should I do?
Well, you should introduce who we have a new member here.
Oh, we have a new member here. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I am the Israeli advisory board. And
So what do you think, Cindy?
I think she's adorable.
Oh,
now isn't she nice?
Where's the stragglers coming back?
And who is lost over there?
We're putting the Jolt flag on top of this mountain.
We're coming up the mountain.
Let's plant the Jolt flag.
We don't have a Jolt flag.
Well, I knew we forgot something.
Damn, we forgot the Jolt flag.
What does it look like? Rachel.
Ow, I got fed.
One girl who's just a drop scared.
I have a sticker on my leg. Hurry.
Some people we just have to pull up the mountain.
And some people you can let roll back down.
It's okay, Rachel, you can roll back
top
down.
Of Asia. 2 days ago, we were on top of Europe, but now we're on top of Asia.
We are in luxurious Hollywood over here. See the back scenery?
We'd like to introduce to you, live in Israel, Jolt 87 with the Punky. Rooster Punky, I mean. First words on the camera. All right, guys, come over here. Guys. Right underneath
Oh, geez, which bunk are we talking here?
Right underneath us,
That's bad.
the Jordanians had a heavy 50 caliber machine gun. And with their machine gun, the neighbors that were there were all threatened. We are now on the south side.
South side.
You can literally see how the Jordanians can pick out from this spot 50% of the houses in Yerushalayim. They could have seen with their binoculars, no problem, everything. Now, if we remember the Jordanians, not just sat in the south. Yerushalayim was stuck into Jordanian territory. On the east, they have even better sites than here. And on the north, so to totally encompass this mountain. The Jordanians until 1967 saw every single car, every single bit of activity was expected. Anybody who doesn't see the names of Russia is blind.
Miracle.
A miracle. They're either blind or lying. But we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a situation that should have been the end of us. When they attacked us, had they done anything right, they would have gotten it. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to us. From here, the Jordanians sat with mortars, with machine guns, with cannons, and we were able to take it. That in itself is the living miracle that you're seeing. When you're here, again, I learned in yeshiva just down there. Just down there. And where we're at now, I remember this space, this spot, when I first came to Israel, a little over 14 and a half years ago. And I remember all the neighborhoods that didn't exist. Nothing. You know, it freaks me out when I come up here. Because literally, I see the expansion of Yerushalayim in such a large, such a magnificent way. This is what you see in front of you. This is the Yerushalayim. It's growing. There's a beautiful medrash that says at the time of the Mashiach, Yerushalayim yagia ad Damasek. Yerushalayim will go to Damasek. It'll expand itself. One level of understanding of the medrash is that the growth of Yerushalayim will be spectacular. It's going to enlarge itself. It's got to go through all its previous boundaries. You see that happening right now. It's absolutely incredible. More about this. You see right over there? That nice white building? That's called Kibbutz Ramat Rachel. And I want you to know a story about that, and you'll appreciate it because you just came out of Eastern Europe. Yeah? Kibbutz Ramat Rachel was started in the 1920s, primarily by a group of Russians, Jews from Russia, who were very left-wing idealists. These guys were heavy Trotskyites. These guys were really into the left-wing ideology of communism. And there were a group of them in the 1920s that came, that after 2-3 years in the kibbutz, they went back to Russia. They said the kibbutz isn't radical enough. They wanted to go back to Russia where they felt would be the real communist dream. They left. They lived in Russia. In 1969 and 1970, when the gates of Russia started opening up, and Jews started to finding out their Jewish identity again, and they left Russia to come to Israel, one old man, one old woman, really want to see an expression of bracha, of prosperity, of blessing, it's to be done in a Jewish land. And they saw that right here. That's kibbutz Ramat Echel. There's something else I wanted to
Jerusalem stone here.
You know, the Jordanians were here in 1967. Well, you know that kibbutz in 1948 was conquered 3 times, not by the Jordanian army, but by the Egyptian army. The Egyptian army came up to fight against Israel in 2 fronts. One was along the seacoast, and one was through the very famous historical highway along the hills, coming up through the desert, Beersheba, Hebron, Beit Lechem, coming to Yerushalayim. That hill was the Jewish kibbutz. That hill, if you just turn a little bit more to your right back there, you can see the hilltop. That's where the Egyptian army stood out. And they fought. And the Egyptians attacked, and they beat the Jews, and the Jews counterattacked, and they pushed them back. They went 3 times. So after the 3rd counterattack by the Israelis, the Egyptians were pushed out. I want you to look at this. From that hilltop to the middle of Yerushalayim, what this is. Nothing. The Egyptian army was here. You know, when we're talking about danger factor, this is what it's about. Look at where we are. And again, we have the bracha. One more time, we see how in 48, the situation was so bleak for us. In 67 again, and look where we are today. We see the situation is improving. There's another story here. This story should really touch many of us. It doesn't touches me. In 1967, when the Jordanians started to attack, there were no Israeli Air Force units of the top fighter units that were available to fight against the Jordanians. They were all busy on the southern front against the Egyptians or the northern front against the Syrians. So what do? They took what's called a Fuga trainer jet. Again, it's for training. And they told some pilots, this is all we have. You've got to use it to knock out their artillery positions. And from that hilltop where the Egyptians sat in 1948, there was a Jordanian artillery position in 1967 that was bombing the city. And there was one young pilot, 20 years old, Dov Givon. And his plane was hit when he was staffing that monastery. And again, it's a monastery. The monastery let the Jordanians use their position to be an artillery spot. And Don Givon's plane was hit. And he went down in that minefield over there. And they saw that he was still alive. And in this area, one of the infantry troops that was fighting was called Chativata Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Brigade. And there was one guy who said he's got to go and save his life. So he went on in the middle of the minefield. He got to where he was, he put him on his back, and he started coming out. And he stepped on a mine. And his left leg was blown off. He put the pilot on his back. He crawled out with the pilot on his back. Now again, you know, we see this guy's yesterday when we were in Mea Sharab. This is a guy from Mea Sharab. He had a long board, then he had payas, and during the regular week we would have a Mekish and a shrine. It's a from Yid. Because in Israel, people go to the army not just when their names are, you know, Pat Montgomery III or John Smith, but their names are Yecheskel Landau and Pinchas Yair and Joe Rabinowitz. They're our brothers here. And he continued to crawl out with a pilot on his back. And he got out. Unfortunately, the pilot had 2 serious loss of blood and he died on the way to hospital. But this Frum Yid, who knew what it meant to give of himself for another Jew, was awarded what's considered like a Medal of Honor in Israel. It's called the Tzalash, Tziyun L'Shvach. Again, that's Jewish brothers doing for one another here. This is where we are. You look out here, and again, I could tell you each neighborhood, but I want you just to look for a second, and if you could, think what it's like not to see half of the neighborhoods. And instead of to see nice neighborhoods and nice streets, to see nothing. And again, remember I asked you what that yellow thing was there? You know what that was? That was a machine gun position. Because when the Jordanians here would open fire on the Jewish neighborhoods, then they would have to open fire on them. And then they'd shut them up, because again, the Jordanians were not nice. They would occasionally just fire at us. there was a kfutza along the slope of the kibbutz group, just a group of people, that in 1954, they were just going out for an archaeological dig, totally unarmed, whatnot. There were about 20 people. The Jordanian position on that hill opened up. 4 people were killed, about a dozen were wounded. Again, stam, no reason, no cause, just hatred. Again, and we see what has come of it anyway. Again, it's brilliant. Now there's one other thing. I want you guys to go into the machine gun positions here. I want you to go into the turrets. I want you also to understand why we have such a good army. Because, you know, we didn't waste time on this place. The Jordanians had machine guns here, they had cannons here and whatnot. And what we did, we just ignored them. We went and took the major positions. And the way the Israeli army works is a very, very quick moving military structure. You don't strike at every position. You take the guts, you take the heart of the enemy out, and then the rest falls apart. The Israelis, they just struck at the major things and cut through, and the units here fell apart. That is a live minefield. I wasn't joking about that. Because the Jordanians, to protect themselves, mined this entire area in front of us to make sure that they hoped that that would limit the Jews coming on up. Today, the minefields there have been cleared. Eventually, the minefield there will be cleared. I can guarantee you that for many of you, right, when you finish learning in yeshivas in Israel after next year and the year after, you'll probably see this hillside being developed into another beautiful neighborhood. Because that's, again, the process.
G.I. Jolt.
After a hard day of firing on Jerusalem City,
G.I. Jolt.
I used to
Coming down from the mountain.
The Jew bagels are now making a decline. Hi, Howie. Mofo. No fresh pictures. Military installment.
And the Lord said, get down from the mountain.
Is this not the most
Jolt is number 1.
Here we see the building, the holy city of Yerushalayim.
Look at that teamwork on Jolt. Hand in hand, they go down the
Yeah,
mountain.
but the boys and girls. Hang on.
Jolt 87, I think we need a round of Cokes for everybody.
Round of Cokes for the Jolt boys.
Oh, come on.
What? What?
They're heading for the bus.
What? Your mom.
Ah, you're hooked.
And your pregnant sister.
Destination, 30 more kilometers. We'll make it. We're going to Kerarachel. The Jolt members are buying the red thread now to protect the own heart. Cindy, what is that, Cindy?
This is to keep away evil and to bring a good family and a fertile life and things like
I
that.
can't see, where is it?
It's like a red string. Want a close-in shot?
Okay, I got it. Why is it red? Why red?
Kabbalistic meaning.
When Solomon got hot in the summer.
Hey, diving. Now, why would you put something like this here?
It's in the middle of the summer.
No, come,
It's
guys.
90 degrees.
Hey, people, I want you guys to come. He built this. Why? Because in the time when Herod was the king of the area, there were over 500,000. So how do they support them? Where do they get water from? We know there's only one spring in all of Yerushalayim area. We're going to go through it tomorrow.
Oh, it's so cool.
So then how did they do it? What Herod had built was a Roman irrigation system, a Roman system that took the water coming out from natural springs as far as 27 kilometers south of Jerusalem, of Yerushalayim. And listen to this. Again, in that time, there is no pumping, right? There's no goes up and down.
Answer the question, right?
Here's Jolt. Here's Jolt on Kibbutz Chafetz Chaim watching two young little boys play. Okay, guys, watch the boys play. Nothing stands in our way. Rabbi, jump on, Rabbi! Uh-oh, that weighs it down. We're going faster. Jolt 87 on the swing. Faster, faster, faster! And we have a casualty.
Medic! 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 Medic!
A punishing ride. Only few survive. Where is he? Can't in Kibbutz Chafetz Chaim. One innocent young boy playing on the ride. And here comes Jolt, ready to take over Kibbutz Chafetz Chaim. They are playing innocently, and here comes Jolt. Jolt comes and takes over the swings.
Ready, guys? Go. Hi, Mom!
It's Chafetz Chaim. And we're where the milking of the cows are. The smell does not
Wait, guys,
exactly...
everybody pose near a cow. Here's a cow. Hallie, get me in this one, Hallie. Look at them. Under this was I'm gonna milk that baby. Yep. Right after I faint from the smell. Oh my god.
Wow, he's stinky.
Oh, he touched that? He doesn't care.
מי זה? אתה מדבר עברית טוב?
אני יכול לתרגם קצת.
Military installment, Hallie.
טוב.
It's a military installment.
החצר הזאתי פה,
Wait, can someone else can you do this?
החצר הזאתי. זה החצר המלטרית. הפרות בהיריון צריכות להמליט. הפרות צריכות להמליט, מכניסים אותם לכאן. פה הן ממליטות עם האימהות. אחרי זה מביאים אותם לכאן.
This is where the pregnant cows are. They stay there for 2 days. After 2 days, they bring them out over here.
כן. עכשיו, העגלות, עגלים, בדרך כלל אנחנו לא משאירים. עגלים, מוכרים אותם בימים הראשונים, מוכרים אותם. את העגלות אנחנו מביאים לכאן, ומגדלים אותם פה עד גיל חודשיים. הן נשארות העגלות פה עד גיל חודשיים, אחרי חודשיים מעבירים אותם הלאה. פה מטפלים להם בגיל חודשיים, כי חודשיים הם יונקים חלב. נותנים להם חלב פה, לכן משאירים אותם כאן. אחרי חודשיים מעבירים אותם הלאה.
אתם מוכרים אותם?
לא, לא מוכרים אותם. הם נשארות כאן וללמוד חומות למגלאות אחרות.
They feed them until they can give milk and then they move them back in there.
Hey guys, we can take a picture with the cow.
עכשיו, העגלות שמגיעות לכאן, דבר ראשון רוצים להם את המספר הזה. אתם רואים, זה מספר, זה רשום על זה מספר. שים לב, אני רוצה להסתכל טוב. רשום על זה מספר, יש לה תעודה, שרשום המספר שעל האוזן, רשום לה גם כן בתעודה. ולפי זה יודעים שזאת התעודה של הפרה הזאת, ויודעים בדיוק, רושמים את התאריך לידה, מתי היא נולדה, כל דבר שצריך לדעת, מתי עשו לה זריקה, כל דבר שעושים לה צריך לרשום. שימו לב, כן, עכשיו, שימו לב, לפרות בדרך כלל יש קרניים, לפרות יש קרניים, מה שקורה, כשהן קטנות, הם שמים להם חומר מיוחד במקום של הקרניים, אתם רואים? במקום של הקרניים, הם יגדלו להם הקרניים. ברגע שיש להם קרניים זה מפריע להם, כי הם נמצאים בתוך קבוצה, הן מתנגחות אחד עם השנייה, פותחות אחד לשנייה, כשהן הולכות, נכנסות למכון חליבה, גם כן הן סוגרות לפתוח אחד לשנייה, לכן אנחנו מורידים להם את הקרניים, לא יהיה בעיה עם הקרניים.
And usually we see that they're going to grow horns. So when they start growing them, they remove them from the area because otherwise they'll damage the other cow. But then they cut off their horns and then they put them back in.
טוב, בואו תראו.
Oh, team.
כאן את המכון חליבה, אני מסביר את זה שם. טוב, שימו לב, פרה אחרי המלטה, אתה מבין כל מה שאני אומר לך? פרה אחרי המלטה, אחרי שהיא ממליטה, היא נותנת יותר חלב בימים הרגילים שלה לפני המלטה. היא מביאה יותר חלב. עכשיו החלב שלנו, החלב של הפרות, אנחנו משווקים אותו לתנובה ירושלים. אז החלב יקר לנו, חלב עולה לנו הרבה כסף, אנחנו מנצלים את זה שהפרה נותנת הרבה חלב. אנחנו לא נותנים את החלב לעגל, אנחנו נותנים תחליף של חלב, אבקת חלב. אנחנו נותנים במקום חלב, נותנים תחליף של זה, שזה אבקת חלב שנראה לכם. את זה נותנים להם במקום החלב. החלב של האמא אנחנו בכוונה שולחים לתנובה, וזה נותנים להם במקום חלב. זה המכונה, שמים פה את האבקה.
They get evaporated milk. The milk is very dear, and they sell this to Tenuva and Yerushalayim. And this is what they use. They use evaporated milk for the cows.
כן, מערבבים להם את זה עם מים, עם כמות מים מסוימת, מערבבים את זה וזה נהיה ממש כמו חלב בדיוק. אותו דבר כמו חלב. עכשיו, העגלות הקטנות שהם נולדו, קשה להם לשתות חלב מתוך דלי כמו שנותנים לכולם. נותנים להם עם הבקבוק הזה בימים הראשונים. שבועיים הראשונים נותנים להם עם זה עד שהן מתרגלות, עד שהן גודלות קצת ואז הם שותים מהדלי לבד.
The first 2 weeks they use this for the feed the cows after they grow. Okay.
כן.
Walking where they milk the cows, using machinery to milk the cows.
לכאן סוגרים עליהם פה. פה זה המכון חליבה. אתם רואים את הדברים האלה שיוצאים מהאדמה, אתם תראו, יש חורים, אתם רואים. זה מוציא מים מלמטה, שוטף להם את כל הלכלוך מלמטה. גם מלמעלה יש, עושים להם מקלחת שהפרות ייכנסו רעננות וגם כן נקיות לתוך המכון חליבה.
Okay. This is the way they wait for the cows to be milked, and the sprinklers on the top and the bottom to clean them before they go in there.
כן. עכשיו הפרות נכנסות לכאן.
Howie, ask them if it smells bad here.
I knew these were good for something.
The smell does not agree with the Jolt member.
I stepped in. Oh God, I stepped in it.
That's a milking machine.
No wonder they move. Howie, no wonder they move.
There's one of the milkers. He used to do it by hand, but he thought that was utterly disgusting. Elsie, the favorite to win this year's derby. A buxom young cow. And there's number 369, the main rival.
She's making her way around the corner. She's deciding. She sees the pitch. She turns. She stays. It's a balk. The natives look restless to me.
Alright, this anyway, they're milked 3 times a day, morning, evening, and night. They're approximately 12 liters per milking, about 50 liters per cow per day.
עכשיו מה שקורה, פה מקבלות תערובת, הם לא מקבלות תערובת באף מקום, זה אוכל מרוכז, הם לא מקבלים את זה באף מקום, רק פה. כשהפרה נכנסת לבפנים, היא נכנסת, יש שם תווית של מחשב, קולט את המספר שלה שבצוואר, נותן את הנתונים כמה חלב היא נתנה, לפי החלב הוא נותן לה תערובת, לפי הכמות של החלב הוא נותן לה כמות של התערובת כמה שצריכה, היא לא תקבל יותר מזה כלום. אפילו שהיא תיכנס עוד כמה פעמים ביום, היא לא תקבל יותר תערובת.
You hear that? They enter the computer the cow, the number that's on its neck, which is on the back of the animal, and it says how much milk they gave, and they feed it based on that. No matter if it wants to go back there to eat, it won't get any more until only exactly what the computer has said that is their amount of feet per day.
כן. טוב, עכשיו, סך הכל כללית, יש לנו בתוך הרפת 750 ראש. 750 ראש זה כללית. עכשיו, יש לנו פרות שהן בהמלטה, שהן לא כלולות בפרות שחולבים אותן, הן נמצאות פה בהמלטה, זה לא כולל כלום, כי מה קורה? פרה שממליטה, עד שהוולד שלה גודל, האמא יוצאת מהרפת, הוולד נכנס במקומה. ככה שתמיד נשאר 450 ראש בחליבה. תמיד יש את הסכום הזה של 450 ראש בחליבה.
אבל יש 700, אתה אומר.
750 כללית. זה עגלות, מפקירות והכל. יש הבדל, יש פרה.
זה הרבה?
כן, זה הרבה מאוד. אנחנו מוצאים בסביבות 12,000 ליטר חלב ביום. 12,000 ליטר חלב ביום אנחנו מוצאים. אז זה שתמיד תחלופה, תמיד המבוגרות, הזקנות יוצאות, הצעירות נכנסות. 1,000 ליטר. כן.
12,000 liters a day.
כן.
They have a total of 750 head, which includes the mothers, the calves, and the cows.
Are you gonna do that?
What?
They sleep standing up.
Well, again.
You know, it really makes you not want to be a vegetarian. You know what disgusting is? Yeah, they're disgusting. You want to be? Yeah, they're disgusting. No, because then just these things will overrun the earth and then just think, well, with the world smell like that. I mean,
Camel.
תסתכל אבל מה קורה עם העזות, מה עם העזות?
Keith, what do you think, Keith?
Well, he seems to be okay. I don't know about those teeth over there. So how the wife and kids? Yeah? Yeah, little Schmolly's in second grade already. Where do we put our feet? Our feet. Just let them hang.
You let them hang.
What's he saying, Howie? Everyone.
Each one run.
What?
רגע, מה, שואל, אני לא
By ourselves? By ourselves?
שניהם ביחד, לא?
כן, אבל כל אחד סיפור. הכי טוב להם. What's he saying?
הם רוצים ללכת ביחד.
What's he saying, Howie?
Sorry.
He said one on a time, he said that.
No, but they changed with the same money.
Huh?
Each one, go
Hey. No, we'll go together. Can it hold us?
They'll be friends, okay.
Listen, Howie.
אמרתי לכם, העלייה שלו.
I gotta take another one.
We're gonna have cow patties.
You gotta film the camel feces.
This camel's been to Laylos! Oh!
It's eating, guys. Okay. Whoa, John. No, I don't want to go down. I don't want to.
Wait a second, John, prepare yourself. Oh, man. Oh, man, look at this camel, jump! Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh, this is gonna hurt. He go, whoa! I'm never. Oh, hey, wait.
Getting hot water. He's still gonna have children?
No way. Oh, hi, guys! Hi!
No, ask Jordan to go.
Jet. Okay, Jolt, go swimming. Starting for the Jolt team is Keith Outland. In lane number 2, Peter Reisman. Watch that form.
Howie, man. Are you ready? On your mark. Keith,
a third contestant. We have in lane 3, we have John Green. Alan Gimbel in lane 4 with a late start. Fun in the sea.
Hal, you ready? That's it. Here you go. Right here, Hallie, right here. Number 1, I want.
From the USA team, Keith Outland with the gold medal. Whoa! And the judges give him a 10 on that one.
Wait a minute, take my picture. Why don't take me? I jump.
בסדר. כן.
It's my brother.
בסדר. Now from the kibbutz, we have a challenger.
Recording. Okay.
Oh, very yoffi! Yoffi! Okay, John is trying the half twist. And he does it! That's a very dangerous start, folks. And a double dive by the Jolt members. Russell Friedman from New York. And it's the high five dive. The high five dive by the Jolt team. Now onto the dreaded water slide. Going into the slide. If they'll return, who knows? This is where they go up. They're going in the stairs, the Jolt team, led by Rabbi Lowenbraun, the captain. They'll be going up, and they'll be going around, and they'll be coming down the slide, and they'll be coming out. בבקשה, 1, 2, 3. יותר בקול רם. תודה רבה. Going out.
Here they come out of the first hole. And oh, Keith Howling, he was safe. What a call. Next out of the hole comes Peter Reisman. John! 5.5. 5.5. Watch out, Peter, watch out. Here comes.
I think Seth got low.
Yeah, it's a dog. National president. Dog! Where's the rabbi? So they know because they're waiting for greetings. We're still waiting for the rabbi. Seth lost his name. There he goes, here he comes. He's coming, he's rounding it, he's rounding, he's coming. He's going home, he's safe. He's safe. 5.5. We have a 3.2. Did you get me?
Yeah.
Oh, I give him a 7.7. Rabbi! 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 Rabbi? Rabbi? Hello? Rabbi!
He hasn't gone off yet.
This is... Rabbi? Yeah, here he goes! He's over there, look at him, picture of it. No, he's coming down to it. Oh, he's rounding first. He's coming! He's coming! He comes! And it's 10s all across.
And what do the judges say?
10! A perfect three!
And they conquer the tube, the Jolt team! They have intercepted the tube, and they are now ready to board. Their fearless leader leading the way. Get that ring! Jolt is trying for the big ring in the middle. together.
I'm all washed up! I'm all washed up! This footer's warm, I wonder why. Wait. No, Jolt.
Get a tube, and they're all running for it. What? They're having a big pull for it. סשה לנו.
כן, אז אם אתה רוצה גם את השם ואת הכתובת שלי, אני גם רוצה.
היי מתי? תודה רבה. Jolt crew is still strong.
I am Kibbutz, and we have Howie, our star swimmer, has found some friends to swim with. The pool's deep, and we're all scared for him, but Howie thinks he can do it. Okay, when Howie's ready, silence, please, in the audience. Fish. Okay, there he goes, it's Howie. It's Howie, he's ready. He's ready for the big jump. He's going, and here he goes. Very quiet, please, quiet. He's ready. Yay! It looks like he's making it, people. He's making it. It's tough, but it looks like he's gonna make it. No, halfway he stops. He's tired. He can't make it. He's going backstroke now. Backstroke. Can he make it? Can he make it? Rolls over. Oh, he made it! And that's Howie. Howie, our advisor. Thank you. Thank you, people. Tune in next week on The Amazing World of Sports.
And the Gush area, Gush Etzion.
Hello. I want you to meet Sion. Sion, our bus driver. Sion, say hi.
Hello, Sion.
Sion. تجي على الكاميرا Jolt 87. Jolt 87. Bus driver to Jolt 87.
Alright, טוב, יפה מאוד.
That was Alphaville.
Sorry.
I want to hear the whole album.
We're on our way to eat. Yay!
Barnfire. The first annual Jolt 87 Barnfire.
Yeah. Got close up. Only in the eye.
We're approaching the bonfire.
Yum.
Great caution must be
You
taken.
had Oscar Wiener.
That looks good.
Take a bite right up there. It's right there.
Put it down there. Just leave it down.
Well,
Oh,
that
wow.
bad?
Just like Mom used to throw out. Great. No, it is good. Wow. ISS doesn't have bonfires like this. You'll only find a bonfire like this on Jolt 87.
Yeah. My weenie! My weenie! Down into the fire goes the weenie.
John shows the weenie there.
If you want,
I have
push
a
the
weenie
whole
and
stone.
Peter doesn't.
Push the stone wall.
It's still two. I pushed that one.
Yeah, push that one in.
Just a new adventure on our tour so far on Jolt. The first bonfire.
Jump. Check these tricks out,
And a hit it
Howie.
is.
Weenie tricks.
Rena with the bellowing.
Hi.
She's bellowing with that cardboard. She's flapping that cardboard.
Not yet. Now she's flapping.
Look at Rena go. Look at that flapping. Oh, wow. Perfect. And Pinchas gets in the act.
Eating of a weenie in the act. A dog has a first name. It's O-S-E-A-R. My hot dog has a second name. It's M-E-Y-A-R. And if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with H-O-T-D-O-G-A. Thank you. Was that good enough?
Enjoying the ball game, folks? Enjoying the ball game?
It's out of here. Let's start the wave, guys.
All right, let's see the Jolt wave.
A one-man wave. Two-man wave. Three-man wave.
Yeah.
Hey, good looking.
Hey, Howie, how you doing?
What you got cooking?
I got a weenie, Howie. You want some? You want some?
Can I
You want
see?
some?
Can I see?
This is my third weenie of the
Want me to
night.
make you one, Howie?
Oh.
I haven't had a weenie yet.
Where is it? Did you?
The weenie's getting unstuck, sort of. We're not so sure about this one.
The Jolt bonfire. We don't miss
I don't want
a
that.
step.
I don't want. All right, here we go. Now put it on.
Hey, it's a new outfit you got there. Naomi, that's an improvement. Notice something different with all the Jolt members here.
They all look stupid.
Hey, Joanne, no peeking. Alan Gimbel with a new look in a hairdo. Notice that they have blindfolded all the Jolt members for an amazing view. One amphitheater view. Made them all blindfolded. The Headless Horseman on Jolt 87. Hey, Jonah. How's the view?
Great.
Hey, Seth.
There's
Just wave to the camera. Wave to the camera.
Yay! Where's the camera? Where are you?
And the hostages are being led away. The hostages are being led away. And here come the female hostages off the bus. Crazy adventures on Jolt 87. This is what they get for breaking curfew. Just 1 minute late. And that's it. Before you go to get off the bus! Off the bus! Off the bus! Quickly, off the bus! Rachel! Okay. Rachel! Cheater.
Rachel, you're really stupid. Rachel, don't tell us where we are. Hi, Howie. Hi, Mom.
Okay.
Debbie, you look great.
That's my birthday, Howie.
Look,
see where are my glasses? I can't see.
I can't see. Whoa.
Where are my glasses?
This is it.
This is what we were blindfolded for.
I want my
Blindfolded
senator.
because there's ice cream there. They didn't want us.
Well, that was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all.
We get Coke, Howie.
I got lost from Peter though. I got lost. I turned around. What? Peter, where'd you go?
His idea was just to blindfold us.
Rena.
Again, you are looking in front of you at the old city of Jerusalem. Again, you can see it right back there. But again, how did they come here? Not just how did they come here by foot, but why in this spot? Why Dafka to Yerushalayim? Why didn't they make Yerushalayim in a more accessible spot? Again, you can see all the hills around us, right? You see all these hills. You think it's easy to travel here? Is Yerushalayim an easy to get into place? Of course not. It's easier to get to a place. It's a flat field, right? If you ever study urban geography or geography, you know the most accessible places are fields by a river, some type of normal access point. Why here? So there are reasons. And the reasons stem with not the geographical position so much, but as to the nature of the place of Yerushalayim. And for that I want to ask you, in the Chumash, right, the 5 books, is there ever the mention of Yerushalayim in the Chumash itself? No. Rachel says no. Does anybody say yes?
I agree with that.
And X gets the square. X gets the
I
square.
give you reference. One second. Before you, Itchy, I should hope you can't, or else you're not regional director anymore. But is there anybody say there is?
There probably is. Hidden probably somewhere.
All right, is Yerushalayim mentioned in the Chumash?
No. Might be, like secretly or something.
I want you to know that's a good equivocating answer. Is it? Yes or no?
No.
I've had no's.
No.
All right, is there any reference to Yerushalayim without its name?
Yeah, probably.
How you look at it?
Seth, answer the question.
Yes.
All right, what is the reference to Yerushalayim without mentioning its name? Yes.
When Yaakov slept and he put the rock on.
All right, let's go to the first one. That's true. Again, we.
Before that.
I told them all about it.
Akedah. Baruch Hashem that you say something. But you mentioned 2 of the very famous ones. There's 2 more. The first one you didn't hit. What is the first reference to Yerushalayim?
I told you about it, Shabbos.
Could you keep quiet? I don't want kibbutz in here. Come on, it's my act, right? Let me do this.
What,
All right,
Shalem?
what is, which one?
Shalem, like Jewish.
About what?
When they tell how you got the name.
All right, who?
That's all she said.
Shalem, right?
Yeah.
What happened?
That
Avram
Avram
went-
called Yerah, whatever.
All right, if you remember, Avram went to save his nephew, right? Lot was captured in the battle. When he was living in Stone, he was captured by the 4 kings. He was being taken north. Avram went. He had a miraculous victory against this very all-powerful alliance of nations. He came back. On the way back, it said that somebody met him. Malchi Tzedek, Melech Shalem. Malchi Tzedek, the king of Shalem. What does Shalem mean? Full, complete, total. Yerushalayim. Malchi Tzedek came out of here. It was called full. Even before the Jews came here, Yerushalayim was considered the place of fullness. What type of fullness? A spiritual fullness. What did Malchi Tzedek say to Avram Avinu? No, Avram gave him money, and what did Malchi Tzedek say? May you be blessed to the God above. Again, the idea of monotheism is appropriate to this spot. So over there, that is a center where people have always been capable of relating. Again, you mentioned the 2 other famous references in the Chumash. Again, one is the Akedah. Avram is coming with Yitzchak. It says in the pasuk, "Vayarta makom merachok," and they saw the place from far. There is virtually no question at all that they saw it from this hillside somewhere. It could be here, it could be a little further down. Because again, we know that Avram was walking north. He was coming from the south. from Beersheba, from Hebron. And as they drew north to Yerushalayim, this is the first hillside. Can you imagine together? We're talking about Avram and Yitzchak walking 3 days. They knew what was going on. We know that they knew that there were going to be a korban. Who was going to be the korban? Who was going to be the sacrifice? Yitzchak. And together they walked and they saw the place from here. And somehow or another, this action, which normally is totally contrary to Jewish thought, contrary to the way that Avram was being raised, made sense to them because they saw the specials. And Yaakov with the ladder. What's going up and down the ladder?
Angels.
Right here is a center place in the world where there's a connection, as would be to Shemayim. Angels relate in this place. And there's one other reference in the Chumash, and it says, when you will bring a korban to the Mokom Asher Yivacher Sham Yakrivota, to the place that I will choose. Who chooses this place? God chose it. There's another beautiful medrash. It says that before the Jews came in the time of Yeshua, forget the exact number, it says there were like 450 countries in Israel. 450 countries, right? I'm going to ask you, today we can't arrange for 2 countries to live here. How could there be 450 countries in the area? What? All right, but how do they live? Why?
We also have a different definition of the word country.
All right. The answer normally is indeed that the countries were relating to all the countries of the world. And they all owned an embassy here. They only had a little plot. Why? Because everybody wanted to have a little bit of Yerushalayim. Everybody wanted a place. You know, we talk about Yerushalayim. Do you know that there are millions of people coming here every year to see Yerushalayim? They're coming down to Yerushalayim. You take the most Christian tourists around, and they want to come to Eilat, and they want the sun, and they want everything. But you know something? They're coming for Israel, and Israel's Jerusalem. In their mind, they want to see what has made the Jewish people exist for 3,500 years. They want to see what this whole idea of the Kedusha is all about. They're coming here to see this. This is the spot. And sometimes, you know, when we went to the Kotel, maybe some of you felt the specialness. You know, you can touch on to it. Because again, Zeh Shar HaShamayim. Have you ever heard of the famous Jewish thinker, Rabbi Yehuda Levi, Judah the Levi, who wrote the book of Kuzari?
Yeah.
Famous book written in the Middle Ages. He says, you know, the whole in my heart I will make it all. But, you know, he said a very interesting thing. He said the whole world exists not just on money. You know, if you read Newsweek or Time magazine, you think the world basically exists for money, for power, and for sex. That's basically what you would understand. But you know, he says there's something else. He says the much more fundamental definition of the world is from Kedusha, from specialness. That man rises above animal and reaches to the divine. He says, you know where the whole world gets that spiritual energy from? It's from the land of Israel. He says, the whole world exists because the land of Israel is here to teach the world spiritual teaching. And he says, and what's the center of Israel? Yerushalayim. And the center of Yerushalayim? Har HaMoriah, the Temple Mount. And what's the center of the Temple Mount? The Beit HaMikdash. And the center of the Beit HaMikdash, where the whole world gets its emanations from? Kodesh HaKodashim. It's right there. I want, you know, for a minute, I want you not just to say, think for a second, I'm just saying words. But do you know that the whole world relates to this place? Do you know that the entire, not just the Jewish world, the entire world is relating to this place? For a minute, think about it. Why does the New York Times cover more coverage on Israel than any other nation in the world? You know, if you look at the front page coverage in the New York Times over the last 10 years, Israel outcovers anyone. 20 years, 40 years.
Except America.
Except America, obviously. It outcovers Russia, even though Russia is perhaps the #1 power in the world today. It outcovers China, even though China has the most populous nation in the world, 1.1 billion people. It covers the entire of Central and South America, the entire of Africa. A country of less than 4 million Jews has the most coverage in the world. Why? Why? Because again, this is the world. This is really what's going on in the world here. You know that there are two historical times in the United Nations that Russia and America ever voted together. There are only two times in the history of the entire UN. And one of them was when they voted together to create the State of Israel. That's from Russia.
Russia voted first.
Could you imagine that? The only time, every time. But again, you see, Yad Hashem, I have a friend whose father was in the Israeli delegation when they were taking the vote in New York for the partition. You know what he said? I remember when his father told me to. It was like, it was chilling. I felt, goosebumps going up and down. He said there was not one nation that was voting in the United Nations that at that moment did not know that this was a divine issue. Without question, everybody knew that this was a special issue. You were either for God's plan or you were against it. That's why all the Catholic nations voted for it. Because they knew this was God's plan. You know, Mark Twain visited this place. Mark Twain visited this place and said, it's clear this is the Jews' land. Because until the Jews come back, we see nothing is happening. He came here 100 years ago and he said it was desolation and terrible, terrible condition. He says, you see that God has not given the land its bounty. The Jews aren't here. No,
That's an unbelievable point. I mean, for 2,000 years, this place was, we couldn't grow a flower.
Nothing. This place was totally parched. Mark Twain made it.
I mean, but it's so clear.
You see the bracha again. We've been showing you yesterday how the land is expanding, how it's growing. It's amazing. Again, let's see where we're talking about. See where the dome is, right? That dome is purported to be on the place where the Beit HaMikdash is. That whole top area again is what? Har HaMoriah. Again, the Temple Mount, the Mount of Moriah. Again, that's not where Yerushalayim started. Where did Yerushalayim start? In the foreground, in front of where the Temple Mount is, there's a slope. Can you see which slope I'm referring to? Right? On the bottom, you see a red tiled roof over there. You see that? The red tiled roof? From that point, going on that upward slope to the walls of the old city is what we call Ir David, the city of David. That spot was before David managed to capture it. Again, from the time that Yeshua came in to David, we're talking about a period of several hundred years. The Bnei Israel did not manage to capture the city. It was a Jebusite city. And you know why it was there? Because that's the one water source in the entire area of Yerushalayim. There's a spring there. This Ma'ayan Gihon. The Gihon spring, we're going to go there later. And from over there, the Jebusites, what would you do in an ancient city? What were the two major conditions you needed for a city? Water, and what was the second? Defense. More than war. You have to have walls. You have to have a position that you can defend yourself on. So they built along the slope these massive walls. And the Bnei Israel couldn't capture it. And it took till the time of David HaMelech, again, that he told his people that whoever captures this place gets a special prize. Because what had happened is that the people, the Anshe Yavus, it said, we're going to wait until you're blind and you're lame, come and capture this. Hapisecho Ailem. Because they knew that they felt this was invincible. They were in the top spot. And David's chief of staff managed to crawl in somewhere, open the gates, and the Bnei Israel won. Again, that sloped area over there is again the famous Ir David. We're going to be going there later. And then the city expanded. What? Again, then David captured that area and it expanded up onto the Temple Mount. Again, who built the first Beit HaMikdash? Shlomo. Again, David wasn't allowed to. Shlomo did. And then the city starts expanding on top of the, you can see, on top of the mountain and moving westward. And the city then keeps on growing. And for the space of the next 3,000 years of Jewish history, the city either expands or contracts, depending on our strength and our commitment to Torah. And again, it expands at our point of prosperity, and it contracts to the point of virtually being annihilated at other points in time. That's over there. In the Tehillim, you've heard of the word Tehillim, Psalms, right? A book primarily written by David. It says, Yerushalayim, Harim Savivla. Jerusalem, the city is surrounded by mountains. Again, imagine for a moment that you're down there at the bottom of that valley. You're totally surrounded by hills. Again, this is the classical position. Now again, what else? You see the walls on the old city there? You see the walls going about them? Now those walls aren't from the time of David, they're not from the time of Shlomo. They're from the time of Herod. We're going to talk about more. Again, that shows different stages in the growth process of the city. Again, at the time of Shlomo, there were walls up and along Ir David. Again, what else do we see? To the right, can you see that there's 3 tall spires? Right. The extreme right one, we're going to ignore what it is, it has something to do with the church. But underneath it is the famous Har HaZeitim, the Mount of Olives. Back home, you would burn it wherever you were. But if you were up until that point, then you'd come back and bring it back and burn it into the Beit HaMikdash.
So you can still eat the carbon over here as long as you just so Yerushalayim.
Well, that's Machlokas. Rashi tells us how to understand.
Over here?
Yeah. So Machlokas, whether it means distance or for Mara and Mamash. It's Machlokas and Pshat. But again, this place we're talking about, everybody talking about, this is where the Chumash and the Navi and the Mishnah and the Gemara and the Rishonim and the Achronim, all 3,500 years of Jewish history are relating to this spot. Now, he says, what about all this new stuff on the left? Now, this is the new city of Jerusalem. Not just is it new, but it's less than 140 years old. Because until 140 years ago, there was no such thing as Jewish settlement outside of the walls of the old city. It didn't exist. The only Jewish settlement, the only settlement, not just Jewish, Arab, anything, were in the walls. Because it was terrifying to live outside. There were Bedouins, there were wild animals. I'm talking about there were lion around here. There's wolves, jackals, fox. It was dangerous to be outside. Everybody lived with it. And all this you see in front of you is just the development of the last short period of time. Now there's 2 other things I want to show you right here. And remember, what was the major Averah that Shlomo HaMelech had? Do you remember? What?
2.
Yeah.
There were 2 Averas.
What was the major one that the Medrash says that he was going? He would have been mevatel al kol kvodo.
His wives?
His wives. And what happened with his wives?
He married 1,000 of them.
All right, but what happened when he married his wife?
Well, they allowed him to do it.
All right.
Not that he allowed him. Right. Some or another got out of control. And it says, in fact, that they worshipped idols. And again, particularly one, it says from where Bat Paro married, or where she lived, overlooking the Temple Mount, there was an Avodah Zarah. And Shlomo HaMelech builds the Beit HaMikdash. Unfortunately, his wife did this. Now again, why did he marry 1,000 wives in this level? First of all, I want you, Excuse me? Right. Exactly. Like when he married Bat Paro, it wasn't because they had really a relationship. It was when you made a treaty. In that time, you changed children, right? Paro probably had 12,000 kids. He gave one away. No big deal. But again, what happened? There was a loss of control. You know what this mountain is called? 2 names. One of the name is the Hill of Evil Counsel. That's the traditional name because it's purported along this ridge somewhere. Along this ridge somewhere was probably the place where Bat Paro had her palace, and she probably did Avodah Zarah. Evil counsel coming from, again, the Egyptians, foreign rule. There's something else right over here. See that fence? Inside that place is presently the head of the United Nations Commissions in Israel. And before 1948, You know who lived there? The British High Commissioner of Palestine. Evil counsel is here. This is foreign influences on Israel. You know how we usually mess up when we stop being Jews? When we allow the British or the United Nations or Egypt to tell us what to do, and they influence our standard of life, that's when we have evil counsel.
Wait, whoa. Get in with the
יש לך איזה...
smile.
How do you say medals?
Everybody, here, get in. What?
Over here. Right after Cristiano's water tunnel. The Jolt.
Stay there.
We need a Jolt water fight! A Jolt water fight! Whoa!
I'm not gonna get my... Monica, can you take some of this?
I'm getting in here! It's on record already. Let's go, guys!
Michelle!
Sorry, that's just... Watch out, Rita!
Nobody's holding this stuff.
Ow! Watch my toe! Oh, I closed it now.
What?
I just opened it. I closed it. We taking more pictures? My scratch.
Everybody, picture.
Don't move it too fast. Don't move it fast.
I got it. I couldn't. My hands are wet. Never mind.
Somewhere. My yarmulke is all wet.
Poor baby.
One more.
baby, Rabbi. No, I want my towel.
The first assassination of an NCSY.
Oh my God.
What? Judy, what?
Let's get her.
Judy, what?
Oh, come on, yeah.
Who has a canteen?
In secular terms, what is good means what mankind says. And since mankind has different opinions, whatever a given society says is good is good. And what a given society says is bad is bad. What would a religious determination of what is good mean? Give me now a definition, not in secular terms, based on what does man say, but what is the religious definition of good or evil?
God determines good.
What God wills is good, and that which is opposed to his will is evil. Why then can something evil happen?
You can't really. If God does it, then it's good.
No, again, we didn't say what God does is good and what he doesn't do is evil. What we said is what is in accordance with God's will is good, and what is opposed to God's will is evil.
But how do you know what God's will is?
Separate issue. Now each group can have a different determination, but the difference is morality an invention or a discovery? You know the difference between an invention and a discovery? What's the difference?
Discovery is something that you just happen on, and an invention is something you work on.
But even more, what's the difference between the thing you discover and the thing you invent? Seth?
One has been.
Well, if you didn't discover whatever it was discovered, it would still be there, but if you didn't invent it, it wouldn't.
Right. What you discover is something that exists independently of whether you are around or not. You can discover it's there, but it's there whether you know it or not. An invention is something that depends on you. If you don't invent it, it doesn't exist. Essentially, in secular terms, morality is an invention. Before mankind, good and evil didn't exist. You need a mankind to conceive of something that's good or evil, or morality doesn't exist. And since in different times, different people have an idea of what's moral or not, and it's relative, so when a society says something is moral, it is. When a society changes, then it becomes immoral. Now, in religious terms, if morality depends on what God wants, that which is God's will is good, that which is opposed is evil. How can you have evil in the world, Keith?
Have evil by man, saying it's
God's
evil.
letting it happen.
What?
So if God's
But
letting
going
it
against God's will, I guess.
In other words, once you have a concept where ethics requires free choice, that God requires that you can choose, so he posits what's good and what's evil, But within certain limitations, he allows people to make the choice of doing either one. To do something that's God's will or do something that is opposed to God's will. Otherwise, again, getting back to the point we said before, we can't have free choice. So now you have to have, if you have free choice, you must have a world in which both good and evil, both that which is in accordance with God's will and that which is opposed to it, can happen within limitations. So again, getting back to that earlier question, specifically on the Holocaust. What does the Holocaust tell us? When somebody does something evil, does it tell us that it was God's will?
It was his will.
It was whose will?
The person who did it.
The will of the people who did it.
You're saying that because God's will is only good.
No, because we've determined that good has to have a definition. Good is either what people say it is or what God says it is. I don't think anybody's come up with a third area to come up with what is good other than either God determining it or man determining it. And so when something happens in a world that we insist there is such a thing as free choice, what does it tell us about God?
It's us determine what's good and evil.
Yes, huh? It seems that it's telling us precious little, if not nothing. If you live in a world where clearly before the Holocaust you would insist that man has freedom of choice to do good or evil, on what basis do we come afterwards and say, once mankind exercises his choices, that shows that God willed it? Again, I'm not trying to say he did or he didn't. We'll get to it, try to get further into this. Yeah, Seth?
I was just going to ask, on that specifically, what about all those things in the Holocaust that were sort of coincidences that worked out for the Nazis?
Such as?
I don't know, the whole thing of Hitler coming to power, he shouldn't come to power. He never held any position other than Chancellor of Germany. He was an elected official. How did he come to power? And then
How did he? Can you explain historically how he did?
Yeah, he convinced the people that the Jews were. He talked the people into believing that he could get them over the Prussians.
Let's get very specific. How did he become chancellor? The German people elected him.
Right.
I mean, if we're laying some blame on God, let's not.
Let's
not again release the German people of all responsibility for the Holocaust. So let's be clear. He didn't seize power. He was elected, and throughout most of his career, including most of the war, it was clear that the vast majority of Germans wanted him to be leader of Germany. Separate from the fact that he was involved in a tremendous repression of his political enemies, it's clear that the significant, sizable majority of Germans wanted him head of Germany.
I understand that, but you don't think there were a lot of coincidences that had to happen with the Jews who would have probably seen?
No, I don't think. Very good, very good. There are coincidences which they would have happened in our favor. We would have called miracle. Tell me, if you were standing at the side of the Red Sea at the point that it split, would you call it a miracle? One presumes so. Would it have made a difference whether you were an Israelite or an Egyptian?
Probably not, no.
No, not at all. No. We make a big mistake in assuming the question of a nes, of a miracle, means only if you were an Israelite. No, if you were an Egyptian standing by, it would be the same miracle. It wouldn't have done you nearly as much good, but it would still be a miracle. So again, I don't want to go too far afield, but once you understand that there's a God, the only difference between a miracle and a natural occurrence, or what you call a coincidence, is whether or not it's done within the rules of nature as you would expect them to happen, or outside what we call the rules of nature. So, yeah, I would agree with you. You're right. There are certain things that would happen which, if it were in our favor, we'd say, yippee, a miracle. If we would be Egyptians, we'd say, oy vey, a miracle. Right? But the act itself is not determined to be the hand of God or coincidence, depending on whether it did us any good or it did us any bad.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, we had a similar discussion before we were talking about man's fault and God's fault. And someone pointed out, when we're talking about the Holocaust, everything that happened good, we say, oh, it's a miracle, you see? And everything that happened bad, we say, oh, gee, it's man's fault.
Very good. Okay, you're right. It can't really be, because when we say man's fault, you see, when we say that a person can pick up a gun and kill somebody else, that's man's choice. But I think what's the problem Seth is getting right back to in terms of freedom of choice is, If God did not want it to happen, it couldn't have happened. If somebody picks up a gun and shoots at somebody, from the Six-Day War stories, right? If God doesn't want that soldier to die, he won't. Something will happen. So what Seth is saying is that separate from the fact that man makes his choices, the question still exists that if God is all-powerful, why didn't he intervene, right? Because separate from man making his choice, God can make a determination that it simply won't happen. Isn't that so? You understand what Seth is saying? Separate from the fact, fine, it was man's choice totally. But the God is all-powerful can see to it that whatever the human being wanted to happen does not happen anyway. Because separate from his free choice, God can determine that the outcome will be different than the man thought.
So it's all God's doing anyway.
Not that it's God's doing. In the end, man makes choices. God can either allow the choice to continue or intervene.
Okay, so that goes back to the question of why
Didn't God
stop the bad?
stop the bad?
Right. So
So-
how can you say God is good if he lets man be
Again, that's
bad?
exactly where we got back to. That's right. That's exactly where we got back to. Again, no matter what we get to at the end of the point, it isn't going to be very comfortable. Let me ask you, has anybody ever heard of C.S. Lewis as a Christian writer, wrote a book like Mere Christianity and others? C.S. Lewis made a very good point. He said, the problem with some Christians, you know the Christians have a prayer, Our Father which art in heaven. It's called the Lord's Prayer. When I was in yeshiva, I attended college at Loyola for 4 years. I think it's the only prayer I know by heart. I'm still working on some Jewish ones, but and every day. Anyway, that starts with Our Father which art in heaven. And he said the trouble with some Christians, C.S. Lewis says, is they don't want to believe on Our Father which art in heaven. They would rather believe in Our Grandfather which art in heaven. What do you think he meant by that? What's the difference between your father and your grandfather? You do something wrong, what does your father do about it?
Punishes you.
What does your grandfather do?
Gives you money.
Tells your father not to punish you. You start crying, so he slips a couple bucks under the table and makes you feel it. He said, that's a problem. Our grandfather which art in heaven, they'd rather believe in. If we transpose that to God, a semi-senile old man in heaven, long beard, who if you ask him, did he give the Torah, does he care about laws? He says, oh, it was so long ago, who remembers? Just play nice. Just play nice. He pats us on the head and he says, just play nice and everything. You see, the first question you have to ask when somebody asks, how can you believe in God after a Holocaust? The first question you have to ask is, you know how we Jews always answer a question with the question? It's because that's the way you clarify whether the question is a fair one or not. You've ever heard the question, how would you answer, Keith, if you were married, how would you answer the question, have you stopped beating your wife yet? Yes or no? Yes or no? Answer the question, Keith, have you stopped beating your wife? Yes or no? I'm giving you the free ability to answer the question, yes or no. Can I have an answer?
I never did.
You're obviously not answering the question. Have you stopped beating your wife?
Yeah.
Again. Yes, I'm glad to hear it. It's about time. Okay, you understand? You have to ask, you have to clarify the question so that it is a fair one. And so very often we answer a question with another question, because if we don't, we leave the premises of the question in place. There's no significant answer possible. When somebody asks you, how can you believe in God after the Holocaust, what is the question you have to counter with?
How can you?
No, the question you should counter with, what is your conception of God that the Holocaust contradicts? Again.
I would think that the Holocaust is even a bigger statement that there is a God, because only by God could such a big thing happen. I mean...
Wait, Keith. Let's try to get to orderly. Okay? Let's try to cover this. We'll hear what you have to say in the end. It may make more sense when we try to go step by step, okay? When somebody asks you, how can you believe in God after the Holocaust? Your first alternative answer has to be a question, what conception of God are you talking about? For example, if I posited that God is a Nazi, would the Holocaust contradict his existence? No. we have to ask, what is your conception of God that the Holocaust contradicts? Now, if your conception is the grandfather which art in heaven of C.S. Lewis, then you'd be absolutely correct. The Holocaust absolutely contradicts the existence of a God who doesn't care what we do in terms of Torah as long as we play nice, because we played nice. We were as good as anybody else, maybe better than most in Europe. The problem is you cannot invent a concept of God that is non-Torah and then say the God of the Torah can't exist because the Holocaust proves my conception doesn't exist. What conception of God does the Holocaust disprove? The 100-year conception among certain circles of the grandfather which art in heaven, you're right. The Holocaust proves absolutely that the God who says I don't care about details of Torah, just play nice, it does prove he doesn't exist. Congratulations, we always knew he didn't exist. But now let's look at the Torah conception of God. Yes? What's your name?
Rena, a lot of times the question's brought up, not how can you believe in God, but how could you believe in God that let that happen? How can you believe in that kind of God?
So again, Rena, it's Rena?
Yeah.
So Rena, keep in mind that we're trying to first determine what is God about, and then we're going to determine what is man about, and then determine whether he exists or not. Because, you know, the Talmud says, you know, against our will we were born, against our will we die, and the place where we have freedom of choice is between those two events. We're trying to determine first, you know, you're familiar with the concept of Yirat Shamayim and the concept of Ahavas Hashem, fear of God and love of God. Judaism always says, what does the word fear of God mean? Can anybody tell me what Yirat Shamayim, forget that phrase. What does Yirat Shamayim mean? What is Yira? Fear. What other word in Hebrew? What is another Hebrew word for fear? Pachad. So why do we use the word Yira for Yirat Shamayim instead of Pachad Shamayim? What is the word Yira? What's another similar word in Hebrew for Yira? What's a word very similar? It means nothing, has nothing to do with fear, seemingly. Ra'ah. What does it mean?
See.
To see. Why is the word Yira, fear, the same as the word Ra'ah, to see? Not in terms of God, in terms of man. Why is it that we use the word Yira, to see, as Yira, to fear? Because it's seeing, it's awareness that creates fear in life, a very healthy fear. A little kid is playing on the edge of a cliff and he's a little dummy. So he sees nothing and he fears nothing. The people who are adults sees what can go wrong, they fear. Fear in life, in terms of a healthy way of seeing things, is being awareness of limitations. Your kid eats Twinkies all day instead of good food, he's not afraid of anything. But the person who's aware of what life is all about and what you need to structure it, fears for the kid's health. Not pachad, trembling, but yira, an awareness that creates an awareness of the limitations of, you know, the perimeters of human life, creates fear. You see somebody dancing through a meadow from far in your binoculars, and he or she is picking flowers and enjoying the nature, all of a sudden freezes, and if you focus your binoculars, there's fear on his face. Why? Because you just saw a sign saying danger, minefields. Sira, sight, yira, awareness, creates structure. Now there's limitations. We fear for our lives. Why do we eat? What would happen if you didn't eat for a week? You'd die. It's an awareness that you would die that causes you to eat. Now sometimes you may eat grumblingly, depending on what kind of food they give you, and sometimes you're happy about it. But the bottom line is that we eat because of an awareness. No comments about the food here now, come on. But you eat basically because your awareness creates a structure. You know that you can't go beyond that structure, and so you eat. You can either appreciate it or not, but the bottom line is you do it because of an awareness that you have to. Frankly, that's why you would breathe if you were aware of it. While you rest or whatever. You can grumble about it or be happy about your ability to do those things that keep you alive, but the bottom line is what causes you to do it is an awareness, a fear of death, an awareness of your reality. Why do we therefore have a concept of Yiras Shamayim and Avas Hashem, fear of God and love of God? Which comes first? Fear. They say first you have to have an awareness of the system of reality that God created. We were born against our will, we die against our will. And let's have an awareness of the system and how we can work best in it. We can eat either happily or grumble about it. We can sleep either happy that we can or grumble. But the bottom line is we ought to be aware of the system and how it works. The next step is to have an appreciation for the system. That given that you didn't have to exist at all, there's something very positive about the fact that you were given this structure in which you can work out something for your own pleasure, for your own good. First comes an awareness of the system. Above that can come ahava, an appreciation of the fact that you were given a system where you can choose tremendous good for yourself. But whether you become aware of that or not, it would definitely behoove every person to have that level of yira, of awareness of what the system is all about, how to act in it. So that even if we don't eat happily, we at least eat. Two levels that we work on. First, an awareness of the system, and then on a higher level we can appreciate, or not, choosing on how we're going to see it. But our appreciation of it or not doesn't change the reality of the situation. So again, let's get back to the issue of God. When somebody asks, how can you believe in God after a Holocaust? The alternative on this question has to be, what is your conception of God that the Holocaust contradicts? There are conceptions which it does contradict. That alternative to the Torah view, that view of the our liberal grandfather which art in heaven, who really doesn't care what we do as long as we play nice, absolutely true. The Holocaust does contradict the existence of such a God. That grandfather in heaven who just says, listen, pats us on the head and says, just play nice, clearly could not exist. We know after the Holocaust that such a God could not exist. But what is the Torah view of God? What's the Torah view of God? God created for a purpose. What was the primary purpose that God created man for? What is the purpose of your existence? To serve Him? What do you mean? Otherwise he couldn't eat? He needs a chauffeur? How could we exist to serve God? Why did God create us? What is the purpose of mankind's existence?
I thought it was a test, wasn't it? The whole existence of Adam in the very beginning was a test.
A test for what?
To see if he would eat the fruits.
And what? And if he wouldn't pass the test, then what?
I guess it'd just be either he just may just end.
So again, if there is no being before the test, how can his purpose be to pass the test? Let there be no being except God, and nobody has to pass the test. What is the purpose of the existence of human beings? Certainly. There are two ways you can see it even. You can see it from God's perspective or man's. Tell me, if you want to know what the purpose of this thing is right over here, and I'm going to give you a multiple choice question. A, to brush your teeth. B, to tell time. C, to read a book. What is this for? What is the purpose of this thing? Can you tell me, Seth?
It's a tricky book.
B, how do you know that its purpose is to tell time and not to brush your teeth? Right, because you see it does one a whole lot better than it does the other. You look at mankind and you determine the purpose for what should exist. What is the goal of all human beings? What?
Staying alive. Living. We can't tell what everything is for just by looking at it or trying.
Yeah, you can.
Everything?
Yeah.
So why is there a rock?
Let's look at the world that we have and we'll find out. You just have to break it down into its pieces. Or alternatively,
the byproduct of the Talmidei Chachamim learning Torah, it brings peace, it brings tranquility. Masechta Brachot. Hadron Alecha, Masechta Brachot, V'Hadron Alan Da'atan, Alecha Masechta Brachot, V'Da'atchan Lan, Lo Nit Nashim Mimcha Masechta Brachot, Lo Nit Tit Nashim Minan, Lo Ba'alma Adin, Lo Ba'da'ati. By the way, do we have a minion here? Just check out.
Yeah, of course we do.
All right. Hira Sama V'Necha Anay Elheinu V'Hei Avotenu, Shetei Toratecha Emunatenu, Ba'olam Hazeh, V'Tiyeh Imanu L'Olam Haba. Chanina Bar Papa, Rami Bar Papa, Nachman Bar Papa, Achai Bar Papa, Abba Mori Bar Papa, Rafram Bar Papa, Rachish Bar Papa, Surcha Bar Papa, Ada Bar Papa, Daru Bar Papa. Hira Sama V'Necha Anay Elheinu V'Avotenu, Shetei Toratecha Emunatenu, Ba'olam Hazeh, V'Tiyeh Imanu L'Olam Haba. Ad Olam. V'Titkayem Bi, Behit Halatecha Tinacheh Otcha, V'Shivlecha Tishmor Elecha, V'Kitzot Hi Teshichecha, Tisichecha. Ki Bi Yirbu Yamech V'Yosifu Lucha Shnot Chayim. Orach yamin b'yamina, o shevakol b'smola. Adonai oz la'amo yitain, Adonai v'rech adamo v'shalom. We're going to stand up right now, and what we do is we say a Kaddish. Stand up.
Monica, stand up. Hey, you guys, can you please listen?
You gotta stand up. Virginia, you gotta stand up.
Deborah now.
You just need more free time, that's all.
Okay, I want to say that, like, right. I need time to party, not free time. Okay.
Is that why you're wearing your pajamas already? Pajama party?
Forget it, okay? We're not gonna. I didn't say anything about your strive. I didn't even hear it. All right. Anyways,
He's a bagel head, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I want to tell you that, I think that we got a lot of. I think I got a lot of educational learning out of this tour, and despite the fact that I'm always asking you for free time, and even though you don't trust us, we got you something. We're taking extra large. Monica, hold it. Wait. Okay.
They got something to get for.
Wait. We gotta get the rabbi in here. We gotta get the rabbi with us.
Let's see the presentation.
That's the biggest they had. That's the biggest they had.
It's you, Rabbi.
What's it?
They make small large.
Oh, we're knocking him off the tour.
They make any size you want it. Laylos, 2 liters. Oh.
That was the best one, John. You're really good there.
I can't get it, it's too small.
Well, we got you an extra large.
8 ton of. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Rabbi.
John, put your foot in your mouth, quick.
I waited for too long.
Never, the other one's already there.
All right, Rabbi. Show us your stuff.
Stand up, one more time.
Stand up so we can see it. Come on.
Mom, look where the rabbi went. Honey, I left you for the later.
Okay.
That's quality viewing.
Your wife will be getting 4 copies of that.
It's not cotton, I can tell, because I'm very hot. It's all polyester.
Sorry, Rabbi.
Rabbi, you're wearing 2 shirts at once.
Rabbi, ready?
We're not ready.
It was a sort of poem. Talks about one of our major experiences. We can wait. No. It talks about one of our major experiences in Europe that was all very dear and special to all of us, and we sort of, organized a poem about this one thing. Yeah, around this one little adventure we had together. Well, okay, I'll start it off. It's the basic thing. You're leaving tomorrow morning. You're partying with us. It's been nice to have you here, but here's a little poem. We're sorry to see you go, Rabbi Lowenbraun.
The first line again?
We're sorry to see you go, Rabbi Lowenbraun, but we still want our $50 we spent as young Frau. Now here we talk about the whole
By the way, it's young Frau Young.
What?
We know what you're talking about.
Let's go, Jonah.
You took us through Eastern Europe, and you made us quite proud. But we still want our $50 we spent on young Frau.
Unlike the Golem of Prague, which is nowhere to be found, we hope we'll see our $50 that we spent on young Frau.
Can I hear the first part? I got the $50, but I want to get the first part.
What? You see, it's all...
Keep going.
We're dying up here.
They'll give you
Yeah,
a
watch out the
copy that
tomatoes.
they're like-
Punky's got some more tomatoes left. You took us from Switzerland to where we sit right now, but we still want our $50 that we spent at Young Frau.
To have pride in Yiddishkeit, you showed us how. But we still want our $50 we spent it all young Frau.
Rabbi, we know how much it is for you to have emotion and everything, so we add a little bit of the emotion that we felt in Yerushalayim in this part of the poem. Yeah.
We mourn the base of Mikdash, the Temple Mount they plowed, so please give back our $50 spent at young Frau.
I didn't hear a word he said. Read that again.
We mourn the Beis HaMikdash, the Temple Mount they plowed, so please give us back our $50 we spent at Young Frau. We're just joking because we know that you didn't want us to go and everything and spend that money. You gave us lots of free time to hang around the town, So we wish we had those 50 bucks that we spent at Jungfrau.
Our clothes may be outrageous. You even called John a clown. But we still want a 50 bucks to spend at Jungfrau.
Just because I woke up, you want to change.
Right there. We're sitting here at Yossi Peking instead of Tang Li Chow. And but please give us back our 50 bucks from Jungfrau.
And for the future, Rabbi, we'll miss you. And you'll miss Masato, up way high up, and the Dead Sea way down low. But we still, or way low down. But we still will miss those 50 bucks that we spent at Jungfrau. Okay, so wait, now this is what we're going to sing today together. We sold your airline ticket, we're walking home by ground, cause we got our 50 bucks that you spent at Jungfrau.
Very responsible, Jolt 87, very responsible. So this is called Everyone's Responsible For. I'm going to give the first line, they give the punchline. And please laugh on cue.
Wait, just wait 1 second. Let him serve this stuff. Hold up.
Oh, wow! What is that? They couldn't take off the tin foil. Get the soybeans.
Take a picture. Hot dogs.
Oh my God.
What is it?
Lemon chicken. What is that? To go out?
Can I have the
leftovers from last night.
Can I have the seltzer, please? The soda water, please. Can I have the soda?
You want some seltzer, fisher water, soda, sprinkling stuff, flop, fizz, you know?
Rabbi, you guys listen.
Attention, please. Business.
Okay, this is called Everyone's Responsible For. Everyone's responsible for their own luggage,
Where's my blue bag?
their own food,
Will someone make me a tuna and cheese?
their own stuff,
Will someone take these form for me?
their own laundry,
Will someone wash my shirt?
I wash my own laundry. Nobody washes my laundry.
their own money, and make sure not to trade on the black market.
I got $100.
Everyone's responsible for being on time.
I was definitely ill.
Everyone's responsible for being in bed by 12 o'clock.
But there's no curfew.
I'm responsible for everyone's safety to make sure everybody gets home in Zurich.
Get on a bus and go home.
Everybody's responsible for looking like a mensch.
Where's my Gilligan head? Everybody say congratulations tomorrow night. My birthday. We need to take a good picture.
Who's leaving?
Well, we're taking it out.
tomorrow night.
Because her aunt's leaving tomorrow morning. There's nothing we can do.
My aunt's not even here.
Hello, John Green.
Wait a second.
Keith, stop.
Keith, stop.
1, 2, 3.
Hey,
Hey, wait. Let me take it again.
I'm not going in there.
Wait.
Yes, you are.
Monica, get in.
I was never ready.
We can make billions. And many more.
To me,
How do you say that? What? Super plankton.
you are.
Wishing you are.
Tiffany. Why was he born so beautiful? Why was he born
To 16.
on one line.
I'm
you ready?
so
Cute. She can say 1, 2, 3. No, wait, 2, 3, 1.
Doe.
A deer, a female deer. Ray. A drop of golden sun. I'll sing.
Right now. It's really good. You think you'd be like the I know it. A deer, a female deer. Ray. A drop of golden sun. Me, a name, I call myself. A long way to run. So I need a pulling thread. La, I know to follow soul. T, I drink with jam and bread. That will bring us back to do.
I can't believe it. It's so good. Can we have some of that? We'll take it.
Alan, can you shut up?
What are we doing?
Rachel, get to the point already.
What are you doing?
Excuse me. Sorry.
I find it very difficult to speak at this time because I have a lot invested in here, more than $50 a person, and I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure yet what has been accomplished. I don't think that at your age or you understand the responsibility of a family or of whatever it's a business or region, and you leave everything because you believe that it will benefit, the individual benefits will outweigh the time you spend with your family and with your that you do generally. So I'm not sure. Time will tell as far as that is concerned. So I'm not exactly sure what I feel, and like for many of us, our experience will take time to develop. It's difficult to say goodbye. It's one thing. It's also a very special occasion. The fact that it's a Sudas Mitzvah Siyum is a great investment in time, and I appreciate that I can have the opportunity. I can't think of a nicer way to say goodbye but from a Sudas Mitzvah Siyum Masechta. I think that it's very, very special. I hope you appreciate that. I also realized, so my brother reminded me that tonight is also a yard site of the Bava Rebbe, my Rebbe's father. He was killed tonight in Lemberg in Poland, and on that same exact night, probably, my father had an older brother, Lev Yoel, who was probably killed with him the same night, so probably tonight is also the yard site, the anniversary of the death of an uncle of mine who I never knew. He was with the Bava Rebbe at the time when the Germans killed them. So all in Yerushalayim, during the 9 days, he went to Eastern Europe. So a lot of feelings run through my mind. So the Parish Mitaver al Yivir al Mitoich Bar Halacha, that when someone leaves his friend, they should leave with a halacha, because that way you will remember him. So I think the simple explanation is that you teach somebody something and they do it, so when they do it they'll remember you, so there's a connection. Even when we're not together, we can still have this connection. Maybe also means that there's a connection in the merit, that you teach something, that you do something, so that it will carry over this cosmic connection, a real connection between souls. The thing I hope that you've learned is the fact that there is a God in this world. I mean, sometimes we could go to yeshiva, go to learn, keep Shabbos, and forget that there's a God in the world. If you learn, you remember that there's a God in this world, so then we've accomplished more than we could have hoped for. The halacha is that when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you say is Maida ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayim, that I recognize you, God, she'achzarta bi nishmasi v'chem l'rabba emunasecha. And we thank God for the fact that He's returned our soul. With every night we are told that sleeping is 1/60th of death. That's a taste of death. And our soul goes up into the heavens, and we report on what we have done. And that's why the great tzaddikim like the Arizal, they would forgive everybody before they went to sleep. In the morning, we thank God that we have a soul, that we have a spiritual being. It's, in essence, a really new start. So the halacha is that usually when you say a prayer, you have to wash your hands first. And you have to be in a proper, you have to be clean, you have to go to the bathroom, you have to wash netilas yadayim. In the morning we wash our hands, netilas yadegel basar. But the halacha is that even if we did not wash our hands, even if we did not go to the bathroom, we could still say Maida'ani. We could still say Maida'ani. So that's the halacha I want to leave you with. That in the morning when you wake up, even if you didn't wash your hands, you still say Maida'ani. Because the difference of being a Torah Jew and a not a Torah Jew is that God is not only when you go to shul, but God is an integral part of your life, that we live a God-centered life, and that everything we do centers around the fact that we are servants of God, and therefore, if we cannot be connected to God even when we're not clean, then we are losing a connection. So it teaches us that no matter what state we are, we always could recognize that we have a spiritual source. There was a Jew I once met. A Jew that from a Gera Chassid from Poland. And he said that when he left his Rebbe and he came to Israel, in those times, Israel was a difficult place for a Jew to grow up. If you saw the picture of the Lifshitz family, the ones who do building in the old city, you see an old Jew, a grandfather with a beard, payas, and his children do not look religious. My wife had an uncle, a great uncle, who had his children, and the great uncle was the son of a great Rebbe. None of the children are Shomer Shabbos. It was difficult being a Jew in those days. So anyway, before he left, and he didn't make it till after the time. He didn't understand. You know what the Ger Rebbe told him? And this was a Jew with a beard and payas, and looked really religious. You know what he said to him? He said to him, "Balai bayi." You know what I mean? He tells a Jew, religious man, looks like the Hasidim and Meir Sharm, tells him, "Balai bayi." That's why he said goodbye. He said, "Stay a Jew." And he didn't realize what it meant to him, because during the Holocaust, when he was running, he didn't get here till a long time later. This Balai bayi kept him Jewish. The message of what we have done is the fact that Balai bayi, that we have to remain a Jew, and that we are the ones who have merited to be alive, and that gives us a unique responsibility of being alive, and having the responsibility of being a Jew. You talked about leadership. Leadership doesn't mean free time, that we know that you can cross the street by yourself. Leadership means taking responsibility for another Jew. That's what leadership means. That there's Chamishim, Hanusaros, there's Meir, Lapin. There are people who took responsibility for other people. You could be in charge of 10 people, you could be in charge of 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000. You could be the leader of all of Klal Yisrael. That is a definition of responsibility. When you saw the faces of those mock children today in that ambulance, you realize just that we, young children, haven't even begun to take responsibility. Pinchas was telling me in the army that we have people your age, a little older than you, a year older, taking responsibility for the lives of 10s, 15s people, millions of dollars worth of equipment. If we could walk away and see what can happen to the Jewish people, we cannot say that we're going to be on the sidelines or let somebody else do the work. The concept of leadership was that if we go through an experience and we see that there's nothing permanent, and perhaps the only thing that remains is our values, is our Torah living, our houses, our communities. 1,000 years of Judaism went down the drain in Poland, 1,000 years of Judaism went down the drain in Yemen, 1,000 years went down in Spain, hundreds of years went down in Spain. There has never been any place, when we said we belong, that's when we got a rude awakening. So if you go home and you don't feel a sense of responsibility to take at least responsibility for yourself, responsibility for your Jewishness, responsibility for the fact that you may be the last person in your family that of a family that at one time kept Torah, kept Shabbos, kept kosher. You may be the only person left that keeps that connection. That's a lot. Think about it. You think about it. We survived going out of Egypt. We survived one destruction of the temple. We survived the second destruction of the temple. We just survived thousands of years of pogroms in Europe. We survived destruction of a third of our Jewish people. Every one of you here has grandparents, great-grandparents that were in Europe. We are alive. We have survived. We are the last of the end of days who have taken this responsibility. I really hope you take it serious. I don't know. I mean, we kid around a lot, we joke around a lot. But who else is there to talk to? Who else is willing to take responsibility? And what you saw is that individuals taking responsibility. It's always the few who carry the many. Right? It's one person who creates the idea that people follow. It's not thousands of people. So I hope you're not the followers, I hope you're the leaders. To me this was very meaningful because I feel that people ask me why I've been involved in this work for so long, and I really subconsciously and consciously am compelled by this fact that I realize there are so few of our people after the Holocaust that we have to be the ones to carry on. And there's no time, because every minute we waste, we're losing another person. Being a leader means that you're concerned with a fellow Jew. You're more concerned about somebody else. You're sensitive about somebody else. Now I apologize to a lot of you. I'm sure that I've been rude many times under the pressure. I'm sorry. I'm not a perfect example. Far from a perfect example of what a good Jew should be. But every great person, the test of a great person is sensitivity to their fellow Jew. Or Maisha, if you read it, any great person was not too big for any other human being. And I would hope that you continue to learn, that you continue to help one another, to be polite to one another, to be kind to one another, to be considerate to one another. But that's also a part of leadership. I leave you in good hands. I leave you in. I truly feel that besides the fact that you're a really wonderful group of individuals, and that we've become all good friends, I feel that we also have very good advisors or leaders or Pinchas, Howie, Sarah and Rena, I think are really very, very exceptional human beings, and they display the qualities of leadership, of giving, of thinking of somebody else first, of giving someone else first, and nothing has been too hard for you. And I hope this is the kind of thing you could learn from their examples, so that when you go home, that you'll take responsibility for others as well. I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you learn a lot. I hope you sense the special holiness of this land, take a little bit home with you. I once mentioned to you, we were talking about the idea, there's no man Someach, Chai, and Medaber. There are 4 levels of creation. The inanimate, like a rock, earth, Someach, those things that grow, like vegetables, Chai, those things that can move, like animals, Medaber, the highest is human beings that speak. You can realize how holy this land is when you realize that people can relate even to a stone. What's the kotel? The kotel is a wall with weeds. Right? And people can sense, even for a moment, holiness out of stones. Back home, you need a great person to sense holiness. Maybe then even not. Over here, even the stones can feel holy. Certainly, and then the food, it's a Someach. There's special mitzvahs. The Shemitah, the Kedushas, Shvius is a holiness, even in the vegetables. The vegetables are holy. We have to be treated as holy. Chai and Medaber are certainly people. You certainly find people here. I hope you can find some people that are spiritually great people. Even the smallest people in the street are giants. I hope you could learn, feel, and tune into the holiness of every single object in this land. And you're in Jerusalem, the holiest city at the top of the world. Take advantage of it. And I'll miss being with you. Have a wonderful summer.
Help! Will someone please help me? I'm a damsel in distress.
Okay, wait, no. I'll try it. Go for it. Hold my weapon. No, wait, we gotta start jumping. Don't forget.
Help! Oh, help! Will someone please help me?
Shoot her. Ready to jump and let it fall back.
Help!
Please ladder.
I'll let down my hair. I do declare. Grab onto my hair. Help!
We'll save you.
Hold
it.
Let me out of here. Let me out. He's in.
A decision to move toward God or away. Once we move away, the longer that concept of mercy, of holding off any consequence, goes on, the more it becomes obvious to the Jewish people of the relative impossibility of believing in a God who gave a Torah. How could we believe it? Now, picture 1987, which for 150 years the Jews have been turning away from Torah to a greater and greater extent, and it's never been better. Don't you realize the utter impossibility of believing that God gave our Torah? And so we got something that's a little bit unfair here. A very pleasant 20th century would prove God didn't give the Torah. And a very disastrous 20th century proves that God didn't give a Torah. You got something finagle here when no matter which way the experiment goes, it proves there is no God. A little bit unfair.
What about the reverse man? When it says that if you do it, it's all supposed to come out nice and peachy keen.
Yeah.
That doesn't come out.
Give me an example.
All the nice frum people got wiped out also.
Okay. Hold that off. Hold that for a second. Well, look, that's part of what we're about to go into. What about all those frum people who got into it? when we talk about Am Echad, we're all one nation, I think every group of Jews at one point or another doesn't really believe that. Non-Frum Jews on one area and Frum Jews on the other. The Jewish nation is what's talked about. If you'll notice, there are different ways of explaining how the Torah talks about schar v'onish, reward and punishment, and yet the rabbis in the Talmud said schar mitzvah b'hai al maleka. There's no reward for a mitzvah in this world. It's all in the next world. So then why does the Torah give reward and punishment in the Torah? There are different ways of understanding it. But if one thing you'll notice is that when the Torah talks about reward and punishment, it is always national in context, never individual. Always. The individual, there's schar in the world to come. The nation is what's talked about, that based on what the nation does and in which direction they're moving in terms of God and Torah, that the Torah says reward and punishment. You'll notice always it's the group. Laman Yarich and Yimech is an exception of that mitzvah. But we're saying when God says, if you keep it, this will happen. If you don't, that will happen. That is always, read inside, you get the rains, the season, you'll be a rich nation. It's always, hold it, it's always national, not individual.